having your career ended not on your terms, is such a hard thing to deal with. So we were just in the preparation phase before the Olympic qualification regatta, and I got a stress fracture that basically ended my rowing career. The doctors had sort of said, you need to either have a big break or, decide what you're going to do. And then about a month after that, I had a big car crash that basically that called my decision to be out of the sport. I couldn't even come down to Kōrero. It was something that I struggled with for a long time, not being able to, finish my, goals and things like that. So I had a big 20 years away from the sport.
Today we welcome Angela Bourke to the podcast. She's a former New Zealand rower, now turned coach. She's recently attended the AIS Aspire coach program, and we're here today to hear more about her journey. Okay, let's start at the beginning. Tell me more about where your journey started.
So I was born and bred in Tamaranui, and Mum and Dad always wanted to send my sister and I away to school. So we were very fortunate they sent us up to Hamilton Girls. I went up there thinking that my journey was going to go in swimming because that's what my passion was. Never really found a club that fitted what I'd had back home. And then a friend of mine said, "Oh, should we sign up for rowing?" And I'm like, I don't know what it is, but yeah, let's do it. And that was kind of like the one rule Mum and Dad gave us, is that you go away to school and you sign up for everything and you do everything. And literally I did. I was in the choir. I played the saxophone through school. I did all sorts of random things that I never thought I'd do. But yeah, it turned up to rowing. Mum and Dad thought it was canoeing because Ian Ferguson, a previous New Zealand canoeist, he was from Tamaranui, so they thought that's what I was doing. Little did they know I was going backwards. And then, got into rowing, and after that first session, I absolutely loved it.
I remember I absolutely hated my first row, but my sister really didn't want me to go rowing with her, and I was just determined to prove her wrong and to pretend I loved it, and I did not love it. So after taking a break from rowing, is there something that reignited your passion?
Yeah, I suppose there's been a few times. So this is really, if you looked at it, my third time back in the sport. I was injured. That ended my, so I came back and rowed through to about 2003. So we were just in the preparation phase before the Olympic qualification regatta. And I got a stress fracture that basically ended my rowing career.
Yeah.
A few of us had been getting stress fractures in our ribs, but this one was around on my spine. And the doctors had sort of said, you need to either have a big break or, decide what you're going to do. And then about a month after that, I had a big car crash that basically that called my decision to be out of the sport. And then, so I had a big 20 years away from the sport. I couldn't even come down to Kōrero. It was something that I struggled with for a long time, not being able to, finish my, goals and things like that. So I went away, got married, had 2 kids, and then, my son started rowing for Hamilton Boys, and that was actually quite good. Just sort of we're coming into it, in the background, not really having anything to do with anything much. And then my daughter had been a swimmer and she got injured, and they said, "Oh, why don't you have a go at rowing?" So she did, and next thing I get a phone call from Nick Barton saying, "Angela, can we go and have a coffee?" Knowing fair well what he was going to ask me. Yeah. And and then I'm back.
Can you talk us through some of your highs and lows as a rower?
Oh, good question. Okay, so I don't think you can get much higher than my 1994 season. So I was in end of 93 Māori Cup. I was the only one of our crew that was going back for year 13.
Yeah.
Everyone else had finished school at that stage, and there was some other girls to row with, but I'd wanted to go to Junior Worlds a year before, but New Zealand hadn't sent teams for many, many years before that, before then. So they said no to us, but it was something that was kind of in the back of my head that I really wanted to do. Then I was approached by Norm Charlton, who was the head coach at Cambridge Rowing Club, and he said, why don't I come and row for the club and learn how to row a single and still race that for Māori Cup for the school, but actually the rest of the season do as a club season.
Oh yeah, so you rowed a club in your final year of school.
Yeah, so my final year of school, I was Cambridge Rowing Club up until Māori Cup, and then I rowed for Hamilton Girls down at Māori. So that year was a whirlwind. I learned how to scull, I learned how to go on a single scull, finally got racing in that. Then made New Zealand Junior Trans-Tasman team, and that was a great experience. It was a lot of fun, the second year doing that. And then I was selected to race the single at Junior World Champs.
Yep.
But prior to that, it was, as a 17-year-old, I'd won my first red coat for Cambridge.
Oh, wow. And what?
In the Prem-8.
For Cambridge?
For Cambridge.
Yep.
Yeah. One Māori single, gone under 650 on the erg for the first time.
That's crazy.
And then went on, so did Junior Trans-Tasman, Junior Worlds. I was also, unfortunate for one of the girls in the New Zealand Colts team, we were called then, so under 21s.
Oh, yeah.
She got injured not long before racing in Australia, and so I was picked up to go on that trip as well. So yes, although my schooling in my last year at school was very limited, I think my reports say something like 56 days attended in my last year.
That's not even.
It's not good for schooling, but Hamilton Girls were amazing at supporting me through those times. And I did have to do exams overseas and things like that. But that year was such a whirlwind, and I got to see so much of the world and do things that, a lot of athletes are still, wanting to get their red coat or that many years into it. But, that
it all happened in one
It all
go.
happened in one hit in a very big year, which the next year then was the year that I had become unwell with my blood pressure and had to leave. So it was kind of like a whirlwind to then not being here at all. That was hard. My second journey back into rowing, I think the high again would be being selected to go to the World Champs.
Yeah.
It was an absolute high, but it was also one of the biggest learnings of probably of my life that year. So I raced at the World Champs and hadn't really talked to anyone that I was either in the crew with or any of my coaches, managers. No one really knew what was going on in the background for me.
Yeah. So
I was again struggling with my blood pressure. That was an ongoing battle I had right throughout my rowing career. My nana had just been diagnosed with cancer just before I left to go overseas. My dad had had a stroke at the age of 40 the year before, and he was still very much in the early phase of actually trying to walk and talk and, everything else. It was so leaving New Zealand with my family back here, dealing with all of that was just so much to, take on board and to not be here. So it was a real challenge, and I think it's one of the things that I learned is that for us, we'd always sort of grown up that if you talked about what was going on for you, we were weak.
Yeah.
Like it was a real weakness if we had talked about that sort of stuff and actually put that something else was affecting us,
Yeah.
It was just not something, certainly was never something I would have ever done.
Yeah.
But I think that year made me realise that I needed to. I was just really grateful that at the World Champs themselves, I had the only people that actually knew about this was my coach back here in New Zealand, Norm, and a guy called Sam Lecomte, who had been a coach here, but was actually at that stage the Australian men's lightweight elite coach.
Yeah.
So I was very fortunate that he was at those World Championships. So every now and then I'd disappear and go and have a coffee with Sam, and I think the Australian team would wonder why this Kiwi was over in their hotel. But it was, he was kind of like a person for me that I could talk to.
Yeah.
He knew my background. He knew mum and dad. He knew.
Oh yeah.
And I think he's also like someone that I think taught me a lot that I've taken forward into my coaching that I recommend, like all coaches need to really think, am I approachable?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of like a big thing about Sam. He was so approachable. He was never my coach, ever.
Yeah.
But he was like for my early parts of rowing, his role was something like, it was like the talent ID for men.
Yeah.
And then we had Paul Westbury was the women's talent ID. So they would sort of go around the country and get to know the athletes that were coming through.
Yeah.
And Sam was, even though he was with the guys program, he was just the sort of person that he was approachable no matter what.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that's just so important.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at like my rowing, like the absolute low of all lows, it's something that a lot of athletes don't think about until it happens to you. And it's having your career ended not on your terms.
Yeah.
And it is such a hard thing to deal with. So I, of course, was out injured, and that was me gone. A lot of people, it can be through deselection or, some other medical event.
Yeah.
But it is, for athletes, it is one of the hardest things. And it hurts so much that I didn't come down here for, I would say it would be a good 10, 11 years.
Yeah.
And Karaparo's on my doorstep. It's, my kids didn't know I rowed.
Oh.
Up until they would have been at high school already. And it was until someone else said to them that I rowed. And I had given to me one of my row suits from Worlds framed.
Yeah.
And it sat in the back of the cupboard.
Oh.
Up until probably actually only about 2 years ago.
Interesting.
And it was something like, it's so hard for athletes to actually, when their career is called. Those athletes that get to actually call their time, I admire, and it's just it's something so special that that they probably don't really realise how great that is. Likes of Ariana Titmus in Australia that's just retired from her swimming career on being the best in the world, Olympic champion.
Yeah.
And being able to call that time is just so special.
Yeah.
But there's very few athletes that ever do.
Yeah. It's something we just don't take into consideration. We just imagine we've got it like we do forever.
Yeah.
Like, take it for granted probably.
Yeah.
How have you seen women's involvement in rowing change over especially the course in between you rowing and now coming back into coaching?
It has changed so much. Some things have and some actually haven't. So the likes of even just walking around the boat park, back when I was rowing, there was really, I can only really remember 2 standout women coaches.
Yeah.
And the rest were men. So that was Judith Hamilton and Trudy Keys. And, both of them are still heavily involved in rowing. But you walk around the boat park now and there are so many women in the community and coaching place. It is so good. Even so my first 8 that I won the red coat with, Marie Cardy, she's down at Cambridge High School coaching there, and Rochelle Saunders is at Dio. So it's so great to see there are so many women and incredible women that are coaching now, which is great. I think it's good for the whole program.
I know, it's really cool. We're now half of our women's squad is coaching a school team at the same time, which is awesome. I don't know, cool. I think it helps their rowing as well. They see it from a different perspective. Yeah,
definitely. I think it's huge that learning from actually coaching and doing, and all of a sudden you'll realise, that's what the coach has been trying to put across to me all this time. So it's great seeing all the women in the boat park coaching and doing a phenomenal job there. There is still no woman in high performance, and so in our senior high performance arena, which is the same as when I was rowing.
Yeah.
It's quite an interesting thing when you look at it, and it's something that I suppose that I am aware of. I'm not consumed by it, but I'm aware of it. I think things like when I went to the New Zealand Coaching Conference last year, that's where it kind of was the first time I actually was in front of me and I actually saw it in the flesh. There was a great evening. It was a Q&A session with dinner, and all the Olympic coaches stood up and it was this great Q&A session, and I looked and there was only men on the stage, and I looked at my table and the tables beside me, and all of them were men.
Yeah.
There was so few women down there at the coaching conference, especially compared to what you see in the boat parks here.
Yeah.
But it was kind of that, wow, there really isn't any women that were on this team.
Yeah.
And if you look at the likes of Tokyo and Paris Olympics,
Yeah.
and this is all sports worldwide, there was only 13% of coaches were women at the Olympics.
Which seems...
It is phenomenal. You know, like you're looking at I think it was 48% of the athletes were females, which is great.
Which is huge,
you know. But it's that there was no woman at that level. I think one of the big things is that we don't want to be given a role because we're female. Like that is so far from the truth. We want to be there on our merit. Yeah. And I know from what, I've seen with some of the amazing coaches that we've got around, especially in our age group programs, there are coaches out there that, I think given half the opportunity would be there. They are phenomenal. But why women aren't in that area worldwide and not just rowing, it's quite interesting. It's something that, I've been thinking about a bit lately, like why is that the case? Is it that we're not prepared to fail? So if you might be trying for a few years and you haven't made it, so you kind of take your, path a different way. Yeah. Or that you get in a school program and think, right, that's just me. That's where they might think that's where their
or
best
that's where they feel like they fit in.
Or is it that, from outside pressure, they feel that they're not hardened enough for the high performance arena. It's a men's world, or, what, I don't know. Everyone has got different thoughts around this. Yeah. For me, though, I kind of have more of the thought of like, why not? Yeah. Why not me? Why not, And I think that's the big thing, is that it does take a lot of effort to be able to say, okay, I'm actually willing and prepared, and I've got the time, and if it takes me 10, 15 years to make my first team, cool. Yeah. That's just my time.
You've recently been involved in the AIS Aspire coaching program. How did that come about?
I was really fortunate to have actually seen this advertised, and we had to put an expression of interest in. So from New Zealand, there was Helene Wilson from High Performance Sport New Zealand. Yeah. And then Michelle De Hayden from Australian Institute of Sport. And they came up with this brainchild of putting together a top-tier group of high-performance coaches and leaders that then could sort of had this initiative to help build another level of coaches coming through. All those coaches that put our name forward were aspiring high-performance coaches.
And all female.
Yeah. All women, yeah. So from New Zealand, there was 10 of us selected. Yep. And there was, in Australia, there was 38. I think in total there was about just under 200 that had applied for the whole program.
Oh, wow.
From Australia and New Zealand. And so we went to Canberra to the Australian Institute of Sport, somewhere I had dreamed of going when I was swimming back, many years ago. And it was just such an eye-opener, such an amazing opportunity to go over there and have these really inspirational leaders. And I'm talking, so every day we'd turn up to the room that was being facilitated in, and we'd have one Kiwi coach on the table. We'd have one lead coach who is one of the support crew. And so from New Zealand we had Barbara Kendall, was one of our New Zealand coaches, and the other one was Marianne Delaney Hoshik from netball and from high performance sport. And I tell you what, they are two of the most phenomenal women in this country of leading and making people, dig deep. Like there was some deep stuff, soul searching stuff that happened while we're over there. But they had people like that on each table. And so from Australia, they had Ellen Randall, who's the Australian women's coach, rowing coach, and all these coaches that I'd heard of, but Ian Thorpe's coach, and phenomenal coaches that have done some really inspirational things worldwide. And so they had one of those on each table, and then the rest were all Australian coaches. And so we would hear about the support coach's journey, and there wasn't a single one of them that had an easy path.
Yeah.
It was, and it kind of actually makes you think, actually, no wonder my path's going all over the place, because they did too. And I think it's just part of the journey. You don't become the person you are just from nothing really happening or, not being impacted by things. Yeah. So each day we would hear from them. We'd have guest speakers. Being over there with the women from New Zealand, so we had netball coaches, diving coaches, paracycling. There was a real mix. So 10 of us, all different sports, and all staying together at the Institute of Sport. And it was one of those really inspirational programs. Often and I've done a lot of training and different sorts of training with my other job, but you finish them and you're really inspired. Yeah. And you're like, oh, that was so good.
Yeah.
But then it disappears. I suppose that drive that you find when you're on these training, camps and things, it kind of disappears after a while, and you're back to your normal. But this was quite different, the way it was structured. There was a lot of self-reflection and self-awareness work that went on. And I think it was actually really good for me, breaking down a lot of the stuff that I'd been struggling with those sort of 20 years out of the sport.
Yeah.
Things like coming away and really being prepared to be uncomfortable and being comfortable being uncomfortable, and not just saying yes to random things like this. I'm sure I must have been after a night shift when you asked me to do this. But in the past, I would never have done this.
Yeah.
And what we learned and what we learned about ourselves on that program, stuff that will really change everything I do. I came away with a really clear plan around what I wanted to do, and I'm ticking those off.
Yay.
Which is really exciting. And, as a group, as a cohort, we are, meeting up and going to be doing some more work together, which is really cool. So hopefully we can help to, lead some other New Zealand coaches over here and inspire them for what we learned on the program.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so what are you doing now? What are your current roles?
Okay. So my actual full-time job,
my
proper work is I'm a nurse by training. I was an ICU nurse at Waikato Hospital. And then a few years back, I thought I needed to have a change, and I'm now in the duty nurse manager for Waikato Hospital. So we're a small team. There's only sort of 14 of us in our team, but we're a very strong team, all type A personalities, but we are the only managers in the hospital sort of after hours, so the buck stops with us basically.
Yeah.
Something's going on in the hospital, and it can be anything from cardiac arrest to security issues to staffing issues. It comes through, our team. But I'm really fortunate that my roster has, my manager there and my team has allowed me to sort of change my hours around so that it fits in with coaching.
Yeah.
Because even though I love my work at the hospital, my absolute passion is being on the water.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. So this season I am coaching the assistant women's coach at the Waikato Rowing Club. And that's what I'm doing for the next year.
What do you love most about the coaching?
I think for me the biggest thing is actually helping athletes untap some potential that they never believed they had.
Yeah.
It's always about winning. We always want to be the best. That's where it comes down to. But at the same time, everyone's got different challenges and different, pathways they're taking. Not everyone wants to row for New Zealand or, And so trying to untap everyone's superpower that they've got and to try and build a culture that allows athletes to feel like they can be challenged and actually challenge themselves and be prepared to fail and and actually wanting to fail, because if we're not failing at times, are we really pushing ourselves to where we could be?
Yeah.
Things like over the winter, you know, Kate never liked to go on a rowing machine.
I still don't.
You still don't like it. But, you know, Kate would only ever go on rollers, you know,
Yeah.
and I think that a lot of that was, you're certainly not the size of a lot of the other girls that we've
No,
got in
I'm
our
not.
program. And so you felt like you've been compared all the time.
Yeah.
Whereas we got off the rollers in the winter,
Yes, we did.
got rid of the trainer wheels.
Yeah.
And then, you know, just try and break down some of those barriers, and you did some of your best ever PBs, like
Yeah.
phenomenal PBs.
Yeah.
That was really exciting. And just things like that for me, like, it means so much when athletes can actually start to see, actually, I can do this.
Yeah. It's also like half the time it's a mental issue. It's
so
not necessarily that I physically can't do it.
No, and we know that you can do it, but trying to get athletes to actually believe in themselves, I find that like one of the best things. And no matter what level the athlete is, whether it's someone that's going to world champs and they come and ask a question, or someone that is at school and they just come and ask, oh, what about this or that? Being approachable as a coach, like, kind of allows that to happen.
Yeah.
I suppose one thing that is quite funny with my crossover of jobs is that I get asked some random questions, and, you know, I might get girls asking me about their periods, or, you know, other health advice, or what should they do for this or that, and you know, or the guys think they're going to gross me out by sending me a disgusting photo of a blister that's, you know,
definitely
looking gross, but little do they know what sort of things I see at work, that it doesn't gross me out. So, like, to be able to help athletes to feel like they can approach me, and no matter what it is, you know, even it's like, I'm struggling with my exams, have you got any tips for how I can, you know, balance my training and my exams and everything else that's going on, because life is busy.
Yeah, it is.
And it's, you know, and there's pressure to, you know, earn enough money to buy good food for training, and, you know, all this other stuff that goes on.
And especially like at club level, the athletes, and at school, like they've got so much going on. Rowing might not be their only sport. They have exams. They might be trying to do different paths and have to work to pay for food, or you know, that kind of thing. So it's really hard to juggle all those things all together, and then expect everyone to bring everything every morning. It
is. It's really hard, and so I think it's one of the things I love about it is that just to be able to help out, you know, with that off stuff water as well, like if needed. I don't need to know deep and dark details, but I want to be approachable.
Yeah.
And I think it just allows them, if they feel like they can talk to me or want to ask me something, they can.
Yeah.
And
For anyone thinking about getting into coaching, what advice would you give?
Do it. Yeah. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Probably the key thing, and I can't even think who said it to me, was just be your authentic self though when you do it.
Yeah.
Don't look at, you know, other coaches and think, oh, that's how I have to do it.
Yeah.
Be prepared to try things, but be yourself doing it.
Yeah.
Don't feel like you've got to, you know,
copy someone's
copy
style.
someone else. You need to learn. You need to be able to grow. That's, I think, the key things.
Take on advice.
Take on advice and learn from it, but definitely be yourself.
Yeah.
Because that way, you know, you can be the best you can be, and you can allow your athletes to then also be their best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. What about athletes? Are there any tips or messages you'd like to share with them?
Yeah, I think for athletes, I think athletes need to come into programs being prepared to change and learn.
Yeah.
It's really hard, and I can see it, you know, just watching these athletes come in from school programs into a club program. It's a real challenge. Like, there's so much to navigate when you're making that transition, but always come prepared to change. And it's not that what you're doing is not right.
Yeah.
But it actually just allows you to be more coachable. Don't ever think that you've learned this one way and that's the only way.
Yeah.
Because, you know, although there's not too much actually different in the rowing stroke of what people are doing, it can just be a different, you know, mindset of how we want the crews to be thinking about the stroke. Or so being prepared to change, being prepared to fail.
Yeah. Have a bad race, have a bad erg.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah. It's a
I don't
big
know.
thing. And I think no matter what, just don't give up on your goals.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that I have learned right through like the Aspire group as well is that, yes, I might have taken this real whirlwind trip back into rowing,
Yeah.
but my goals have never changed. I might not be able to be a Olympic gold medalist rowing anymore, but I do, you know, like it is still a goal. Like you can't hide those goals, so never give up on it. If you feel like you need to have a breakaway, don't, you know, have a year of actually just enjoying the sport. Don't go in any other teams, or just actually use the year to actually find your love of the sport, because you actually will. You'll just need that time and take the pressure off yourselves.
Yeah, I often feel like you go faster when the pressure's off as well.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's a weird dynamic. But
yeah. You've got to love what you're doing, especially in a sport like this that you just put such phenomenal amount of time into it. And if you're not actually enjoying it, then it's really hard work.
Yeah.
You know, when those alarms go
early
off,
starts,
it's just not fun. Yeah.
Finally, looking ahead, where do you see yourself going on this journey?
Yeah, so my goals are big, but I also am very well aware that my journey's certainly not going to be straight and easy. Like I said, my goals haven't changed. I still want to be the absolute best coach I can be.
Yeah.
And the key for that for me is about continually learning and growing from different experiences. I think I will continue to do anything I can in terms of my own personal development. As much as I say I love my job at the hospital, I would love to be on the water full time. Yeah. But you know, it's going to be a long journey. Yeah. In the meantime, I'll just continue with my work and sort of putting my hand up and being prepared to, you know, not make teams or not make this, but actually at some stage, I hope I do enough to prove myself that actually, let's give her a shot.
That's perfect. Thank you for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you.